Question is, and this was I got big backlash on Twitter. I basically said unpopular opinion. I think what Biden said was like ignorant and stupid, but I don't think it's racist. And I want to start right off the bat. My favorite thing, and I didn't believe in it really until I went on the show and he explained it, was Jesse Lee Peterson, who's an elderly, for the record, an elderly black man who grew up on a plantation on the East Coast, which just makes it awesome because no one can tell Jesse Lee Peterson anything. You know, they try to pin him as a racist, but he's like, no, I grew up literally on a plantation under Jim Crow laws, and then the white liberals stunned. Even the younger black kid is stunned because Jesse's 70 years old. You can't tell grandpa nothing. So he's got that vibe. But he always says there's no such thing as racism. And everybody always looks at him like he has 20 heads. They say, Jesse, what do you mean there's no such thing as racism? You grew up, in a racist time in the South. How's there no such thing as racism? And his answer is just perfection. And it's really stuck with me. Jesse Lee Peterson says there's no such thing as racism. There's good and evil, and there's right and wrong. And I think that's a beautiful way to put it. So overall, before we even get into it, I think that's a really lovely way to put it. There's right and wrong, there's good and evil. The words racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, xenophobic, all the isms, they're a never-ending goalpost. Everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is xenophobic, and everything is anti-Semitic. You can't say this. Michelle Malkin can't say this. Biden said this. Trump said this. Who said this? You said this. I said this. Who said this? It's all a trap, guys. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it true? Is it false? Is it good? Is it evil? It's a way better description than just blobbing that word onto everything. So I watched Joe Biden's interview. It's terrible. The guy's a walking train wreck. I mean, not only was he never really an impressive politician to begin with, but now he's older and he quite possibly has early onsets of, some sort of mental deterioration or, I don't know what's going on. And I don't say that to be rude or mean or disrespectful. I'm legitimately concerned for the guy. He doesn't make sense anytime he talks to me. Maybe someone else understands it. I'm not making excuses for him. His crime bill, his lifestyle, what he does, I don't think he's particularly a great guy. I would never vote for him. I don't trust him. There's very few politicians I trust less than Joe Biden. So let me get that out the gate. I don't trust the guy. I don't like the guy. I'm not voting for the guy. However, what he said was on the interview at the Breakfast Club, he made some comment and he said, if you're not black, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Or if you consider voting for Trump, you're black. Is it ignorant? Absolutely. Is it rude? For sure. Is it demeaning? Yes. Is it dumb? Yes. Is it wrong? Yes. Is it racist? I don't think so. I don't think it's racist because what does racist mean? What is the definition of racist? Go look it up. What does it mean? Do we know what it means? Is it a word that's not used enough? Is it something we should use because it's not used enough? No, it's the most overused word on the planet. And no one knows what it means anymore because the definition just basically means if you're a Democrat, if Republicans say anything that has to do with race and you disagree with it, it's racist. If you're a Republican, anything the Democrat says is racist. It's become just a mess. Everybody overuses the word. And it's also used for censorship. Why does YouTube, and besides, censoring scientists and stuff, what is the main thing that they censor? Racism, sexism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. It's moving goalposts that they can't even put a figure on. So me personally, I agree with Jesse Lee Peterson. I say it's good, it's evil, it's right, it's wrong, it's true, it's false, it's good, bad. I don't use that word loosely, and I don't think people should use it loosely. And overall, it's a stretch. I think, to me, if I were to ever use the words racist or sexist or anti-Semitic or xenophobic, to me, sexist isn't even saying women shouldn't vote. If someone says that, I don't think they hate all women. I just think they have a very unpopular opinion about, one of the amendments. But do I think they hate all women? I don't think that. If somebody says what Biden said, does he hate all black people? I don't think so. I think he's an idiot, and I think he was trying to be cool on a hip-hop show, and he's just a moron, and he's not a smart or good guy. But does he hate all black people? I don't think so. When he passed the crime bill, did he hate black people? I think he was just doing what status quo was. Gay marriage, yeah, I'm against it. Gay marriage, yeah, I'm for it. Black crime bill, I'm for it. Yeah, now I'm against it. I think he just blows which way the wind blows because that's what type of politician he is. I don't think he has very much integrity or honesty. So overall, I got a lot of heat on Twitter, and that's fine. I'm not complaining about it, but I wanted to explain myself rather than text battle people where they don't understand what I'm talking about. I don't think the word racist is underused. I think it's overused. And same with anti-Semitic. Right-wingers are always calling everybody anti-Semitic. To me, the only anti-Semitic people are who hate all Jewish people and who want them destroyed off the planet. Everything else is an exaggeration. And same with black and same with white, all this stuff. The racist terminology is just out of control. And people say, well, what if Trump said that? What would happen? Trump actually did say something like that, but it didn't really get a lot of press in conservative media, only in liberal media. Trump made the statement that Jews in America who vote Democrat are disloyal. So he made a similar statement that, Biden made. Biden's was a little more ignorant, but Trump was like, I don't understand how Jews vote Democrat. They're disloyal to their country and their people, basically, if they don't vote Republican. And here's the interesting thing people don't understand about demographic voting patterns. Trump said that to Jews. Liberal media freaked out. Conservative media mostly didn't care. I didn't really care, to be honest. It wasn't the make or break moment for me. But most American Jews vote blue. They vote Democrat. So Trump's going against the grain. 75 to 80% of Jewish people usually vote blue. Biden made the statement to Black America, and it was messed up. It was wrong. But actually, a majority of Black Americans do vote Democrat. So Trump panders to Jewish people, and he does his Israel thing, which is he's got to do what he's got to do. It's all love, but it doesn't translate to votes. And the Biden thing, as much as conservatives will virtue signal over this, they're going to get a percentage. I think they could pull off 20 to 30% of the black vote this time, but that's still way under majority. So my reason for not saying it's racist is not to protect Biden. It's not to say that it's not demeaning. The word racist is overused. The word sexist is overused. The word anti-Semitic is overused. The word xenophobic is overused. The word Islamophobic is overused. And if you use the words of the censors, you're going to end up supporting censorship. So when right-wingers say we're fighting censorship, but they loosely use these terminologies and they start blacklisting and censoring and, banning people from events, they're not necessarily helping. They're starting to become a part of the problem. And it's the same with this. So that's just the point I was trying to make. I feel like it was a little easier to say and maybe made more sense. But I think Biden is not a good guy. I don't think he's a good politician. I don't think he's honest. I think what he said was terrible. The entire thing was just sprinkled with ignorant stuff. But to me, racism really means you hate people. You hate all people. I just don't. It's such a word that if it doesn't just mean you hate everybody and you want to kill everyone of a single race, which is horrible, then it means everything. There's nothing that it doesn't mean, and it becomes a word that is not used to stop Joe Biden. It becomes a word to delete YouTube videos, to delete people off of Twitter. Laura Loomer, gone. Alex Jones, gone. Gavin McInnes, gone. And it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And this is my kind of beef with the Republican Party, is in order to bring back free speech, I think we have to reject political correctness. If we're going to reject identity politics, we have to reject all identity politics. We can't say we don't like the black and Hispanic identity politics from the left wing. Let's do our own black, Hispanic, and gay identity politics. You're adding to the pot, so you're fighting it by becoming it, which is really not fighting it. And then they're even hypocritical there where, they don't let white conservatives have identity politics. They call them racist. So it's like everyone can do it except for one group, and both parties bash that group. It just doesn't seem fair to me. So overall, I think that's the clearest thing. And people are saying he is a racist. Guys, I hear what you're saying. I understand this is going to be unpopular. I knew it when I started. But in general, that word has been so overused, so misused, and it's grown, and it just fuels censorship. It fuels the shutdown of conversations. You can't talk about demographics. You can't talk about crime patterns. You can't talk about countries. You can't talk about Japan, cultures, anything involving race at all. You can't say anything about it. It's racist on the left wing. I fight against that. I think you should be able to talk about demographics. I think you should be able to talk about Japan and how it's 98% Japanese. I think you should be able to talk about Africa and South Africa and, Detroit, Chicago, the suburbs of, San Francisco. And I think the world would be a better place if everyone wasn't so damn sensitive like they used to be when they watched Chappelle's show. We all make fun of each other. We can question each other. Races can question each other. We can all get along. We can bleed red blood. We can red, white, and blue be Americans. But at the same time, it's okay to have a cultural preference if you're Italian, Polish, African, whatever. I'm all for it. But I just don't see us fighting the narrative of there's too much racism or there's too much of the word using. That's the biggest complaint I always hear from the right wing. There's too much political correctness. The snowflake culture is too much. There's too much racism, sexism, xenophobia. It's the word's overused, and then they jump on the opportunity to pin their political opponents as racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic. And as unpopular as this is going to be, I don't really care, because I've seen this happen time and time again with Ilhan Omar. I can't stand Ilhan Omar. I think she's not honest. I don't think she's a good politician. I don't agree with her politics. I don't agree with her policies, foreign or domestic. However, Republicans hate Ilhan Omar, and their hate for Ilhan Omar and their love for team party over truth ends up biting them in the butt. And I tend to be the only one going against the grain, and then I get in trouble. But when Ilhan Omar said a bunch of stuff on her Twitter, most of it was not anti-Semitic. It was either rude, ignorant, and in some cases it was just true or, controversial. And everybody tried to call her an anti-Semite. And just like today on Twitter, all the Republicans were yelling at me, Anomaly, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a Democrat. Go back to Bernie Sanders. You're an Islam worshiper or whatever. And I'm like, guys, I'm literally just saying I don't like her, but I don't think what she's saying is anti-Semitic. I'm an old school Noam Chomsky, like free speech. You got to believe in it. And they shut it down. And as they're doing this is what people don't understand. It's not just an opinion. As they did that, the Republican Party used the fuel of people calling Ilhan Omar anti-Semitic to pass speech legislation. Ron DeSantis passed anti-Semitic speech legislation in schools in Florida, and I read the bill, and it made no sense, and many Jewish Floridians disagreed with it too, so it's not And then Trump passed an executive order on college campuses, so they use your hate for these people, they use your looseness of the terms racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, to then get you just being team sport, team red. We got to beat blue. We got to beat them at their own game. Biden's a racist. Let's treat him like Trump. And then they pass anti-speech legislation. And then what you find out is the people with me, and someone said you can't compare that to Biden. No, you can compare it with Biden because it's the same thing. These words are used for censorship. These words are used for speech legislation. These words are exaggerated. So if you want to fight the exaggeration of the left's use of the word racism, you have to use it less. You can't be them. If you become them, and then they call me a liberal when I'm being libertarian conservative. When you become them, you don't stop them, you grow it. You can't fight free speech with more speech legislation to own Ilhan Omar. You're becoming the problem. You become the censor. You're adding more. We need to go the other way. We need to go back to the days of George Carlin and Dave Chappelle, where everything goes. Not we got a tit for tat. They do that, we do this. They do that, we do this. That's how you lose it all. And that's what's happening. And what people don't understand is people like myself, who are very unpopular for saying this, end up getting railed against. I'm going to play a clip for you real quick. This is Thomas Massie. He's a Republican congressman who in March was sounding the alarm, guys, just like I am now, type of stuff. Thomas Massie was sounding the alarm of tyranny, the scam, the wealth distribution, the CDC lies, and the deception of the government shutdown. And Thomas Massie got called from the President Trump. He called Thomas Massie a third-rate Republican and said he should be kicked out of the party. He wanted to kick Thomas Massie out of the party. Why? Is Thomas Massie bad? Is he Ilhan Omar? Is he Joe Biden? No, he's a libertarian conservative who knew that this shutdown was a massive redistribution of wealth. If you do the math of what the Federal Reserve and the Treasury printed, it's $6 trillion. If you do the math of how much each family could have gotten out of that $6 trillion, guys, that Trump and Nancy Pelosi and McCarthy, they all agreed on it and they passed it without ever registering it in Congress, guys. You don't even know who voted for what because they never voted on it. The biggest bill in modern history, the biggest bailout $1 trillion loan bill, was not even held. They just pushed it through without even knowing who voted for it. And $6 trillion is $60,000 per family, guys. If you consider there's 3.5 people in each family on average, $60,000 for each family. You didn't get $60,000, did you? Did you get $1,000, $2,000, $3,000? You know what that means? $50,000 went somewhere else. Where did that money go? You're never going to know because that's what the Republican Party does to defectors. Ron Paul, yeah, he gets it too. Of course, he was talking about it, but he's not in Congress anymore. The point I'm getting to is what I'm saying might be unpopular. People will call me a liberal, a Bernie Sanders supporter, whatever, or racist or sexist, or I'm an apologist for Biden. But what I'm really doing is trying to set the precedent of what's going on. And Thomas Massie, the same thing. I'm going to play the clip of what he said. And he got told to leave the Republican Party. So this is how they treat you if you try to stand up for freedom, free speech, and anti-communism. I mean, how am I a liberal for being one of the only people that's been railing against this for months? Here, I'm going to play the clip.
This stimulus package is $6 trillion. It's either going to be spent or loaned or injected into the economy.
6 trillion is 20K per person, but what I'm saying is most families are not just single people. So I'm saying if the average family is 3.5 kids or 3.5 people per family, that's 60,000. Here, let's do it.
$6 trillion. There are 100 million families. Okay, let's say the average family is 3.5 people. 100 million families in the United States.
Time out. Before I start, someone said, LOL at thinking only the Republican Party does it. I have to say this. Guys, I'm not saying only the Republican Party does this. The Democratic Party is worse. The Democratic Party is corrupt. I don't vote for the Democratic Party. I don't trust the Democratic Party. They're not getting my vote. Biden's not getting my vote. None of them are getting my vote. But this is the point I'm trying to make. We know that. Everyone here knows that already. So why do I get so much backlash if I don't sit here every day and say blue man bad, blue party bad, Biden's a racist? Then people don't, it doesn't click. They say, oh, well, I'm not saying. I never said it's only the Republican Party, but what you don't understand and what you don't want to believe is you think the Republican Party is fighting for your freedom. They're not. They just passed a $6 trillion wealth stimulus bill. That's the biggest redistribution of wealth in modern history, past the point of what any communist leader could ever pull off. You think that they're fighting against your liberties. Guys, they just passed a bipartisan, mostly Republican spying bill that the FBI can spy on your browsing history without a warrant. It's totally unconstitutional. It's not just the Democrats. So the point I'm getting to, yes, the Democratic Party's corrupt, but why can't I be on the team and say anything bad? It's becoming a cult now. Anomaly, no, he's a racist because it's got a, Ilhan Omar's anti-Semitic. Okay, guys, then keep using those words and keep broadening what those words mean. And those words are going to be used for censorship. And there's already speech regulations on board that they're pushing with these words. So if you exaggerate them like the left, it's going to bite you in the butt. But I never said, for the record, before I play this, I never said the Democratic Party's not it. It's just people like malfunction when I say one thing. It's like, God forbid I don't just sit on Twitter every day and say, blue man bad, blue man bad. Guys, it gets old. I'm just trying to tell you, this is what's happening on both parties.
Families in the United States. Divide 6 trillion by 100 million. You get $60,000 per household of spending.
Okay, and like, you know what, $3.5 trillion or $4 trillion is coming out of Fed money, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The $4 trillion is Treasury and Fed. Exactly. So 2 from Congress, 4 from the Fed. That should tell you who runs this government, right? Like, if you know, already. So we complain that Congress really only decides how $1 trillion gets spent every year. $3 trillion is entitlements. Now we're talking about $4 trillion. That's from a totally different set here. But back to my math, $6 trillion total divided by 100 million families is $60,000 per family. Okay, they're offering $1,200 payments to each working adult if they qualify, and then like $500 per child or whatever. A family might expect to get $3,000, but $60,000 is going somewhere on their behalf. Mm-hmm. What's the problem here? That's like 95% of the money is going somewhere else. Where is it going?
Yeah.
And who's going to be responsible for the 60,000? The taxpayer, and most of the taxes come from people, not from companies, not from the corporate taxes. The taxpayer is on the line for $60,000, yet they're going to receive at most maybe $3,000 of benefit from this. I'm saying this is the largest transfer of wealth in human history. It would make FDR blush, and the Roman emperors would have no idea how to pull this off, this kind of plunder.
What would be...
So let me just give you context of why I'm playing that. Thomas Massie was one of the only, if not the only person in Congress who stood up against this $6 trillion bill. This was in March. This is for March. He didn't try to delay the vote. Trump called him a grandstander, a third-rate politician, and he said Thomas Massie should leave the Republican Party for trying to hold it up. But what Thomas Massey was actually trying to do was they never voted on this, guys. They pulled a coronavirus is here, so let's just not show up. So you don't even know which congressman said yes and said no, because they just passed a make-believe. The biggest, most insane spending bill in modern history, in any country, was passed with no vote. Nobody showed up to work. And he said, I think people should show up to work. If truckers are showing up to work, if essential workers are showing up to work, you can't go and pass a $6 trillion bill. You have to hide away from it. And they all shit on him. Excuse my language. They all the Republicans teamed up on him because Trump called him a third-rate politician. This is what happens in the Republican Party. I'm not saying for sure, but if you're all the time, if you're a libertarian and a conservative who believes in what they believe in, anti-communism, pro-freedom of speech, if it goes against what the talking heads in the party are doing, people freak out at you. And if you listen to this interview, it's on my Twitter, it's on Reason. It's a brilliant interview from March with Thomas Massey. He was prophetic about everything. He talked about the CDC lying about masks 2 months before they told the truth. He talked about, like the shutdown being bad, essential workers being messed up. He was on point in March. He got no love from the Republican Party. He got no love from the president. He got love for me, but this is the point I'm trying to get. Someone said, y'all better start growing food. Growing food's always a good idea. So when I talk about not only this, but other stuff, I don't say it to say the Democratic Party's not bad. I'm not voting Democrat. So what they're doing doesn't really affect me. I want to know what our party's doing. I want to know what Republicans are going to do for people. And if you stand up for free speech or you say, hey, there's a reason, and everybody hits you back, it is what it is. I like a good debate, but overall, that's the Thomas Massey story about the shutdown. And also in general with the Biden stuff, I think he's horrible. There's millions of scandals with him going on, but overusing these words, and it's already being used against people. Racist, sexist, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, they're not words that lead you towards, is it good, is it right, is it wrong, is it true, is it false? It's broad, and it's past the point of no return. So playing into that game is going to lead to our demise. And we need to, with free speech, with anything, political correctness, less political correctness breeds less political correctness. You can't have more political correctness to fight political correctness. We're going to be politically correct to the left to hold them to our standards. You become a hypocrite. And Trump did say a very similar thing. And I want to do one more point, and then I'm going to read some comments and take off. There's another funny thing that I saw, and people didn't get it on Twitter. Like, it's funny. Like, no one hears this stuff because I'm like the only one who says it. So everyone's like, what are you talking about? There's a saying on the right wing. It's been with Candace Owens, Kanye West. Most black conservatives and many white conservatives are saying it as well. They call the Democratic Party the Democratic Plantation. And even, I believe, Jesse Lee Peterson calls it that. So they say if you vote for Democrats, if you stay on the Democratic Plantation, it's akin to a slave. They're calling people slaves if they vote for Democrat. I don't have a problem necessarily with that if those same people aren't going to call everybody racist on the left when they do the same thing that they're doing. I could say it's racist to say that you're calling them slaves if they vote Democrat, but then Biden's racist if he says it for so that's an edgy thing to say. I don't mind what Candace Owens or Kanye West, but I have white conservatives on my Twitter saying, don't leave the plantation. I'm like, you realize you're calling Joe Biden racist for saying that all black people should vote Democrat, but you're a white guy calling people plantation workers for voting for Democrat. You get what I'm saying? The disconnect is just there because most people are not... They're not used to like having to be accountable for what they say and do. It's like, well, everybody on my team says I'm good because I'm fighting Joe Biden and Ilhan Omar. Just because you disagree with Ilhan Omar or Joe Biden, it doesn't mean you're a good person. It doesn't mean you're right. It doesn't mean you're honest. It doesn't mean you're accurate. It doesn't mean you're helpful. It just means you fight Ilhan Omar all day and you feel good about yourself. But there's too much hate in politics, and hate is emotional. And when you hate too much, you become what you hate. And when you hate too much, you become blind to what's going on. So you hate Ilhan Omar so much, you don't even know they might use her to pass an anti-free speech bill. The liberals hate Trump so much. They want to fight Trump, but they don't realize the Kavanaugh situation was used to get them to say that you don't have a right to a fair trial. So if it's somebody on your side, you want a right to a fair trial. But if it's Kavanaugh, I hate Kavanaugh, so you don't even believe in a trial anymore. One witness is enough. I hate Kavanaugh, so I'll believe all women. Oh, no. Now it comes to Joe Biden with Tara Reade. All of a sudden, they don't believe women anymore because they never believed in that. They only did it out of the blindness of their hate and they're, whatever it is, over Trump. And it's the same thing with the right thing. The laws of life don't just apply to liberals. They're wildly hypocritical and off kilter, but that doesn't mean you can mess up and it's okay because you messed up because you're not them. It works the same way. And if you're too emotional about Joe Biden and Ilhan Omar, you're going to become a problem. And it's already become a problem. Not with this. Calling them racist for a day, it's not a big deal. But I've seen them do this same thing and then pass speech legislation on it. At the same time, you had conservatives put a documentary out. And I said it, and people always get mad at me when I say it here. I like Dennis Prager. I love Adam Carolla. They put the No Safe Spaces documentary out, and all the Republicans watched this at Anomaly. No safe spaces. They're fighting college campuses. Guys, that's the same time that Trump passed an executive order on college campuses, calling it an anti-Semitism bill, stopping people from protesting Israel, and also making it harder for, Israeli or Palestinian activists or whatever you want to call them to speak on college campuses. It's an anti-First Amendment bill. I don't agree with Palestinian activists. I don't know. That's not my thing. However, I'm not going to pass a speech bill to stop people from speaking freely on college campuses and being able to protest, and then put out a documentary and tell you that I'm fighting for free speech. This is who most of the top conservatives are. That's why people like myself, Rand Paul, and Thomas Massey get treated like complete dirt, because we don't care about this stuff. I don't care. I don't want to be popular. I don't need an invite. I don't need everybody to pat me on the back and say Anomaly. I could have 10 million followers on, not really, but 1 million followers on Twitter if every day I said Biden's racist, everyone's racist. Look at me. It's a game for everybody in the Republican Party to feel good about themselves because they're fighting. I get it. We all have a laugh because the guy's a complete clown. Joe Biden's out of control. Yeah, 2 wrongs do not make a right. And in general, these are the games that they play. Socialism sucks, but then what just happened? We had a Republican Senate greenlight a socialist bill, $6 trillion worth of your money going elsewhere. You don't even know where it went. Is that eventually going to affect the country? Of course. But no one fought against it. Only Thomas Massey, one Republican, fought against it, and he got yelled at by the president. What does that tell you? Socialism sucks when Charlie Kirk's trying to sell pins. Socialism sucks when it brings Republicans into the college campus. But socialism doesn't suck anymore when Trump does it, or Kevin McCarthy does it, and Mitch McConnell do it. All of a sudden, socialism doesn't suck anymore. And the guy who says socialism sucks, now he's a bad guy. He's a grandstander, a third-rate politician, and he needs to be kicked out of the party. Why does Thomas Massey need to be kicked out of the party? Because he believes in what conservatives pretend to believe in. And then I'm the bad guy for noticing this stuff. They just move the goalpost, and no one notices. They just say, oh my goodness, Anomaly's a Bernie guy. I knew he was a Democrat in disguise. I'm a Democrat in disguise for believing what Republicans pretend to believe in. These are the games that they play, folks. And I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. I like the president. Charlie Kirk does good work. Ben Shapiro's a talented guy. But it's change reality. You get what I'm saying? So these are the games that they play. And a big part of how they do it is the overuse of these words, these ism words: racism, sexism, xenophobism, what is it? Anti-Semitism, and I don't even know the other ones, but they're wildly overused, guys, wildly overused. And it's like, if you were to say something controversial about women, you're sexist. If you were to say something controversial, what he said was ignorant. What he said was stupid. What he said was just really demeaning. It was not smart. However, was he trying to do that? No, I just think he wants to get black votes, guys. And someone told him, he's like, I'm the NAACP guy. He's trying to get votes. Someone said, let's admit USA has a serious propaganda issue. Well, here's the thing. It has a propaganda issue, but this is where people I lose people, so I'll start out slow. CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, ABC, NBC, most of the media is left-wing. Most of the media is carrying the water for the DNC and the Democratic establishment. Okay, so who's on our side? We don't have that many people. Fox News, half of Fox News might as well be CNN now. It's like Donna Brazil's whole crowd. Then you have One America News Network. Okay, they do some good stuff. Then you have Charlie Kirk, you have Ben Shapiro, Turning Point, you have Candace Owens, you have a few people, James Woods and stuff. But there's a certain time when, and I like all these people, but 80% of them go the wrong way. And then you stand up and say the right thing, and all of a sudden everybody's pissed off at you. Or they all in unison work to say, Michelle Malkin needs to be canceled. She's a bad woman. And it's like, no. You get what I'm saying? So then there's these new level. Yeah, we're not the left wing. That's, corporate propaganda. But then you have the new gatekeepers, and they decide who gets heard. So a lot of the stuff I say you've never heard because they don't allow you to hear it. If it reaches a certain level of real or a certain level of self reflection, then it becomes get it away. Get it away. We only talk about Joe Biden here. Get it away. We only talk about Ilhan Omar here. Get it away. Get it away. But how is that good? I look back at, I keep referencing the Jordan documentary because I've seen it. But to be honest, I've actually referenced this months ago before the Jordan. But he was kind of mean to his teammates, probably messed up. He wanted to win. He didn't go to the other team. He talked to his team. So when I say this stuff, I challenge the right wing because I want the right wing to get better. The left wing, they don't listen to me anymore. Some people do, some people don't. But I don't really talk about them that much because that's not what I'm working on. So when I say these things about the right wing, I'm not saying the Democratic Party has nothing going on. They're perfect and flawless and I'm voting for Donna Brazile. I never said that and I never would because it's not how I feel. But when I criticize and critique and be honest about the right wing, that's what makes you better. That's what makes you honest. That's what makes you conservative. But these top gatekeepers and like GOP people, they don't want you to go there. So what does that tell you? What happens if you go there? You get axed. So are you ever going to win on the right wing? You're going to end up in the space we're in now, guys. And that's the interesting part. Trump won. Bill Barr replaced Jeff Sessions. Republican Senate. And you ended up in a $6 trillion socialist, communist lockdown, redistribution of wealth where Bezos, Gates, and, Zuckerberg doubled their earnings or whatever. Why did you end up here? We got a Republican president. Yeah, it's Fauci, it's Bill Gates, whatever. But it's also the fact that the Republicans and conservatives aren't always who people think they are. And they never will be until you hold them accountable. And that's what we're doing. And that's why I think, it's valuable to have people like me and Thomas Massey. Don't reject us. Don't kick us out of the party. Don't call us liberals. Don't say we're turncoats. Think about what we're saying. What would I do right now if I'm in control? I'm in control of my life. You're in control of your life. I don't feel like the victim. I'm not like it's people in control are going to do what they do. But at the same time, if Thomas Massey tells the truth and Trump gets upset with him, I'm going to stand with Thomas Massey. I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden, but you get what I'm saying? If I like Charlie Kirk, but he's being sneaky or something, I'm just going to be like, I like you, guy, but like I like the First Amendment more than I like you. Trust me. And same with all these people. It's not a mean thing. It's like I believe, and the crazy part about politics that people don't understand is a lot of these people blow like the wind. Does Joe Biden have a seething hate for black people? I don't think he gives a crap about anybody. I think he'll go where the money, where the power, where the Democratic Party goes. Gay marriage, no gay marriage, black, white. I don't think he really cares at this point. He'll probably pander to a panda bear if it'll get him elected. You get what I'm saying? I don't think he has a seething hate for black or white people. I just think he's Joe Biden and he doesn't even know really where he is right now. So you get what I'm saying? We're in control. And people listen. It's the same with the Charlie Kirks. He's young, but he's kind of like a politician, even though he's not a politician. He listens. If you make him do the right thing, he'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I got to do the right thing. That's just how some politicians operate. There's very few people like a Rand Paul or a Thomas Massey who just really don't care. A lot of these politicians will blow like the breeze. So just got to check them. Exactly, Terry, just got to check them. Someone said, I'm not black, and Joe Biden's comment was reprehensible. Absolutely. It was reprehensible. It was horrible. It was stupid. It was ignorant. I'm not making excuses for his comment. It's a dumb comment. But is it racist? I just don't think so. And I don't like that word because it's overused. It's used for censorship. It's used to shut down debate. I'll give you a hint. Everybody always says you should debate Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk. I would love to, but I don't think they would ever debate me. There's people that I think could beat them in a debate, and they call them anti-Semites, and they call them racists, and they have banned them from their events. And these are people I don't necessarily agree with, but when I look at what Charlie Kirk is saying, and I look at what somebody like Nick Fuentes is saying, I think Nick is smarter than him, and I think Nick would beat him in a debate. Does that mean I co-sign everything that Nick has ever said and I denied World War II? No, I don't agree with everything that Nick said. I just don't agree with everything that Charlie said. And if I look at both of them speak, I think Nick would win a debate because he's less politically correct and he doesn't play games. You know, Charlie Kirk plays little games. I think Nick would crush him in a debate. But the point I'm getting to is Charlie will never have a debate with Nick. He calls him a racist anti-Semite and bans him from his own events. So you never know about this stuff because they make it impossible for you to ever know because they seek to destroy anybody who's smarter or more accurate than them and less politically correct and less likely to use words like racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic. That's a shield in a debate. If I'm debating Charlie Kirk on demographics, immigration, foreign countries, domestic countries, whether I'm debating Cenk-Uygur or Ben Shapiro, the word racist shuts the conversation down. The word sexist shuts the conversation down. The word homophobic shuts the conversation down. Xenophobic. It's a word used to shut down a conversation and censor and silence. And that's what it's used for on the left wing and the right wing. The left wing censors more. The right wing's just sneakier about it. And I don't agree with any of it. And I don't have to. So that's why I don't use that word. It is reprehensible. It is reprehensible what Joe Biden said. But calling it racist, you'll find out, I believe is a mistake. I want to read this. Jose said, you can't throw the word racist around like it's nothing. Racism is a real problem and it shouldn't be used lightly. But you could even look at a definition. What does racist really mean? For instance, people would say it's racist to want to, keep your demographics of where you're at the same. If you don't want to change demographics, that's racist. I don't think that's racist because I think certain people in Japan, it's 98% Japanese. I don't run over to Japan and say, you need to take 20% Hispanics, 20% whites, 20% black. It's not my business what Japan's doing. You get what I'm saying? If there's a country or a state or a town that wants to stay black or wants to stay white, and that's how the town feels and that's how their leadership feels, it's not my business to go. That's what everyone always does. Oh, we got to... If people want to integrate, let them do it naturally. Don't force everybody to do what you want to do. But people would say what I just said is racist. If you want to live somewhere, go live somewhere. But I don't believe in making people do stuff they don't want to do. I think it's okay for certain places to have certain cultures. So the point I'm getting to is the word racist is used lightly and sexist is used lightly and xenophobic. It's all too lightly because it shuts down an intellectual debate. You don't have to agree with what I said, but you have to be able to strategically break down why you think it should happen. And what you find is the people who use the words racist, sexist, and xenophobic the most don't usually have good arguments. That's why they use the words racist, sexist, and xenophobic. What Joe Biden did is it's ignorant to suggest that all black people should vote Democrat. And that's the trick that they use. And it's not fair and it's not right. But, I just think a better choice of words is in service. Let me see. Someone said, just like everyone ushering in these health officials into their lives with the smoking bans. Yeah, and that's another, I'm glad you brought up the smoking ban too. Here's another thing, guys. $1 trillion bill, I'm talking about the one that passed in December before the shutdown. They changed the smoking age to 21 and then they start banning e-cigarettes. It's like, this is a Republican president co-signing a bill bragging about the smoking age being raised. That's not conservative. That's not libertarian. That's not free market. That's big government. That's big government telling you what you can and can't smoke, what you can do, what you can't do. They do too much, guys. I push back against that stuff. I don't care who does it. It's like, why can someone go fight a war at 18, but they can't smoke a cigar? I don't smoke cigars or cigarettes, but, at a certain point, the government you can't smoke an e-cigarette. Are they for sure worse for you because one person died because they got 2 people died or 3 people died because they got one from China? It's a little confusing. All right, we'll read. So it said, Trump's playing chess, you play checkers. Nick, I'm not even talking about, I'm barely even talking about Trump in this entire live stream. I mean, what I just said was massively insightful. If you want to just play blue team bad, red team good, then that's fine. But I think a lot of people here are enjoying the insight and the uniqueness of what's being said here rather than the red team really good, blue team really bad, Trump man good, everybody else chess, checkers. You know, we're not doing that. Dot said, I'm new here. Which side are you on? LOL. And this is the wildest thing, guys. You can't talk about anything without people accusing you of being on the other side. I'm on the side of truth. I'm on the side of justice. I'm on the side of reality, common sense. Me personally, politically, I'm libertarian conservative. I believe in smaller government, free speech, the Second Amendment, the FBI not spying on people's browsing history without permission, which the Republican Party just passed. So I'm more conservative and more libertarian than Republicans are. And I'm tired of being questioned. What side are you on? How dare you stand up for the First Amendment? We only believe in the First Amendment if Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump believe us in the First Amendment. If they decide to not do what they said they were going to do, then we're going to do that. And he's playing chess and you're playing checkers. I believe in what they pretend to believe in. What part of that don't people understand? It's pretty easy. Someone said, drink a beer. I don't drink beer. Dot said, you seem objective, just popped in. All right, thank you, Dot. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Someone said, save small businesses. Yeah, I agree. Brent said, we're trying to get our liberties back. Absolutely. And this is the funny thing with all this stuff, guys. They say Joe Biden, it becomes the talk of the town. They're going to be talking about it for a week. They're more upset with me for saying that I believe that Joe Biden using the word racist is a mistake. They're more mad at me than the fact that Trump passed a $6 trillion bill, guys, where 60,000 of your family's dollars, 58,000 of it went somewhere else, guys. The biggest redistribution of wealth in modern history. They're not mad at that. They talk about Ahmaud Arbery. All the black conservatives have the debate about Ahmaud Arbery or whatever it is, because the media man told them to have it. And then they take a stance and they say, well, this is my stance. This is my stance. You're playing, you talk about whatever they want you to talk about. They get more upset about stuff that's going to get handled in court. And there's more information coming out about that. And I don't agree with what happened at all. However, they spend 3 months talking about that, not even a day talking about communism that just took over the country for 2 months, not talking about the CDC and what they were doing and who Trump put there and how he got there. I had somebody, the irony of this, I had somebody on Twitter say, anomaly, you need to go to bed. I'm stable, I'm happy, I'm fine. I luckily have the energy, I'm blessed to be able to put in 15-hour days. However, he had a Reagan avatar. Listen, I'm not going to knock Reagan. I'm sure he did a lot of good things. Republicans love Reagan. However, Dr. Fauci is a Reagan plant. Reagan put Dr. Fauci in his current position. That wasn't a Democrat, that was Reagan that put Fauci there. Also, Reagan passed, I believe, the legislation to keep vaccine manufacturers from being liable or responsible in a lawsuit. That was Reagan. So this guy, red team, good, blue team, but they don't even know that's why Fauci's there, or that's why vaccine manufacturers are so hard to get held accountable. And that's my fault for knowing that stuff. It's my fault for not just bowing down to George Bush when he started the Iraq War. I'm a libertarian / conservative. I'm probably more conservative than conservatives. God forbid I say what traditional conservatives say. You know, they'd call me a homophobe, racist, sexist, xenophobe or something on the right wing, not the left wing. Anomaly, that's a racist thing to say. It's like, guys, it's such a joke. Everything isn't racist. Everything isn't sexist. Everything, it's right and wrong. It's good, it's evil, it's bad, it's false. But the people who use those words the most don't know how to debate. They don't know how. Because if they had to do it, they'd have to use another word besides that. But if they put that thing and then they ban that person from the event, they don't have to argue his point. Because his point makes sense. It's just a politically incorrect point that you don't want to talk about. You know, so you're like, ah! But it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means they don't want to go there. But other people do go there. And if you go there, you realize, okay, it's got some points, but yeah, I agree to disagree. Thank you, Ariana. I appreciate you. God bless you. Someone said his policies were socialism for the rich, nothing for the poor. Reagan was still... That's what just happened. A $6 trillion bill just passed, guys, 2 months ago. If you didn't get $60,000 for your family of 3, it went somewhere else. Someone said, here's the question we get asked every time. I understand it's tough to hear somebody who doesn't just tell you everything that every other Republican tells you. But here, Eric said, what solutions do you have to offer? Both parties are corrupt, but no one has any solutions to fix it. The solution is what we've been talking about. Just stand up for yourself. Don't be another red team good, blue team bad. Anybody who says red team doesn't do all the right things and fight Ilhan Omar is the bad person who needs the anti-Semite, xenophobe. Don't become that type of Republican. Just be like a Thomas Massey. Say, hey, this isn't right. And then you get yelled at by Trump. But if enough people backed Massey, which they did, you got it. You get what I'm saying? Just stand up for what Republicans believe in, and they'll change. If you always, this is the trap, guys. They convince Democrats to be useful idiots because they hate Trump. What won't a Democrat do because they hate Trump? Ups, down, left, right, swim, sink. They'll do anything. The Republican Party's slightly better, but really, you still got communism. That's why, because not enough people believe in what they pretend to believe in. They believe in cultism. They believe in loyalty to the idols. They believe in worshiping the leaders and the gatekeepers. They believe in, personality over policy. They believe in, idol worship over like the First Amendment, really. And that's a problem. So it's a simple solution. It's a beautiful thing. You just have to believe in what you pretend to believe in and not make excuses. If you like me like you like Trump, and I'm the president, and things start going south, you shouldn't say, anomaly, he's playing chess and I'm playing checkers. Just hold your ground. And if everyone held their ground and it would work. And this is why I got to explain it, because it gets lost and people think I'm a hater. The reason I talk about Turning Point and Charlie and Ben is because I saw what they do to people who disagree with them. I saw what they do to people who aren't politically correct and who actually are the non-politically correct right-wingers that they pretend to be. They blacklist them, they censor them, they kick them out of events, they shut down question and answers, they get them banned off YouTube, and then they tell everybody that they're anti-Semites and racists. That's what they do. So that's why I fight against them, because I believe in free speech, and the people that I find more intriguing and more honest and more raw, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, straight raw, they're not allowed to speak in conservatism. They're not allowed in the Republican Party. They get the Thomas Massey treatment. Hit the road. We don't want your kind around here, Jack. They pander to black, LGBT, Hispanic identity politics. They'll play all the same games as the left. They'll bow down to the minority groups. But then to any white conservatives who disagree with them, they just call them racist and Nazis too. It's not just the left wing. Left wing calls Charlie Kirk a Nazi. The left wing calls Ben Shapiro a Nazi. And then Ben Shapiro called these other people Nazis. It's like, that's why I'm telling you. You get what I'm saying? I don't like Joe Biden. I think he's a lunatic. But this is how the world works. You call them racist, they call you racist, you're a Nazi, he's a Nazi, she's a Nazi. Guys, the word means nothing now. It doesn't mean anything anymore. A Nazi is a National Socialist who was, with Hitler in World War II. That's what a Nazi is. If you think Ben Shapiro, who's Jewish, is a Nazi, the word doesn't mean anything anymore. It's thrown out. Stephen Miller's a Nazi because I'm liberal and I don't like him. Stephen Miller's Jewish and he's not a Nazi. So if you call Stephen Miller and Ben Shapiro a Nazi, the word Nazi doesn't mean anything anymore. If you call everybody a racist, it doesn't mean anything anymore. If you call everyone an anti-Semite, the word anti-Semite doesn't mean anything anymore. So that's why I don't use it. I only use racist, sexist, or xenophobic if someone says, F all women, they all deserve to go. That's pretty sexist to me. F all these people, they need to go. Sounds pretty racist to me. Anything else, it's an exaggeration in my opinion. It's like, Trump said the wall's racist. Biden said they should vote for me. He's just being dumb. You get what I'm saying? These are the games that they play. It's very insightful. Someone says Stephen Miller, Joe Biden is